Hey everyone, today we're counting down our picks for the best F1 games that you should check out. And without further ado, let's dive right in. Leave for Speed. Okay, this game is old as hell, but believe it or not, there's still a crew of hardcore sim racers out there who swear by it. In short, this OG is the unsung hero of racing simulators, standing strong while others have either evolved or faded into obscurity. And as you can see, it's got those spot-on driving physics that keep it kicking with a dedicated community. Oh, and Valtteri Bottas, an actual F1 racer, used to play this one up until 2010, when he was finally hired as a test driver for the Williams Formula One team. Formula Evolution 2024. The dev said that this is the first ever true MMO Formula racing game. I don't know what that means, but I think the game is quite fun, especially since it's free to play. Anyway, when you first start, you'll be racing on very old school Formula cars. Think of the grandfathers of modern F1 cars. And as you progress, you'll get to upgrade your ride and switch to a more modern one. Moreover, the game features 40 Formula cars from 70 years of history. And for a game that is being developed by a single guy, this is an achievement in itself. RaceRoom Racing Experience. Here's the deal. While ACC nails the graphical fidelity, iRacing owns it with precision braking mechanics, and rFactor 2 rocks the force feedback. RaceRoom impresses by finding that sweet spot in between. One standout feature, its contact physics are forgiving enough to let you trade a little paint without ruining your race. So, if you haven't given this a spin yet, now's the time. However, you won't find any officially licensed F1 cars here. Instead, they have what's called Formula RaceRoom, which is inspired by F1, obviously. If you don't care about things being official, try this one. rFactor 2. Back in 2013, this game was a game changer with its dynamic road and weather systems. Sure, the UI was a hot mess, and you needed a powerhouse PC to run it smoothly, but if you stuck with it, the experience was next level. Fast forward to 2024, and rFactor 2 is still holding its own. If you're wondering whether it's worth it now, the answer is a solid yes. However, just like many PC-based racing games, you need to install some mods to race F1 cars with this one. And obviously, if you're a casual gamer, don't pick this one. The Crew 2. Some of you know about this game and some of you don't, but we all agree that this is far from a proper F1 racing game. However, just take a look at the gameplay. Seriously, how could you not want to drive an F1 race car in the middle of a city? With this game, don't expect to feel like a pro F1 racer. Instead, you can finally realize your middle school fantasy of driving a cool car to show off to people who bullied you, and at the same time, trying to impress the girl you like. Project Cars 3. Now, before you start yapping about why I put Project Cars 3 instead of Project Cars 2, take a look at this list because I did include the latter. The reason I chose to include this one is because some of you aren't into sim racing that much. In fact, if you just want to casually drive the Formula X cars, this is the game for you. Oh, and maybe you're asking, what is Formula X? In short, it's a concept of futuristic F1 cars, and they also have what's called Formula A, which is the equivalent of F1 cars. Grid Legends. If you're into using a wheel, this game is pretty decent, though the force feedback isn't as punchy as it was in 2019. However, they've tweaked the physics and handling since 2019, which is cool, but now the cars stick to the road like glue. Makes it feel a bit weird, you know? Those curbs that used to be your worst nightmare, still dangerous but not as punishing as before. Overall, it's a good simcade. And as you can see, you can drive the Renault R26 in this game, which was used in the 2006 Formula 1 season. The Crew Motorfest. Motorfest may not be a proper F1 game, but it's great for cruising around in the Red Bull RB18 through the beautifully created world, and if you're okay with that, then this is the game for you. And while its map may lack the scale and variety of its predecessors, it makes up for it with a lot of other things like cars variety and exceptional graphics. Overall, if you're into a racing game that can also serve as just a casual F1 open-world driving game, then this game might be worth checking out. F1 24. Now, I know the game's rating is much lower compared to last year's iteration, but hear me out. The thing with new F1 games is that they often get rated badly in their early days. However, once the developers fix the bugs and other issues, the ratings usually improve. Don't believe me? F1 23 was also initially rated low, but after the developers sorted out the problems, the rating improved. There's definitely a pattern here. Most dedicated gamers tend to be harsh on new releases but end up loving them once the issues are resolved.
Okay, we think the underbody's incurred some slight damage.
iRacing. Now, this one is the go-to online sim racing title praised by the most hardcore sim racers. Sure, it can get pricey, no denying that, but here's the thing. Compared to some MMOs where players drop thousands on digital goods over a few years, iRacing isn't actually that bad. I mean, maxing out at around $3,000 over a decade? That's like $20 a month. Like imagine if iRacing went all gotcha on us. Instead of buying that sweet Mercedes W13, you'd have to roll for it and pray to the RNG gods. No thanks, right? Grid. Just like in Grid Legends, in this game you can drive the Renault R26 through the bustling city of Barcelona. However, don't expect this game to be a proper sim racing game. Think of it more as a fun arcade racing experience that you can enjoy after a long hour at work. That is, if you're not a jobless basement dweller, of course. Anyway, there are two different Renault R26 versions in this game, the standard one and the Grid edition. What's the difference? Well, the standard one is yellow and blue, and the Grid edition is black. That's it. Automobilista 2. This game covers it all. GT cars, trucks, stock cars, karts, and you guess it, Formula beasts from different eras. Talk about a smorgasbord of racing flavors. Now, not every car in the game is a dead ringer for its real-life counterpart, but hey, you'll spot some familiar faces out there on the track. And let's talk about the big debate. Is this a full-on simulator? Well, opinions may vary, but who cares when the racing's this good? It's immersive, it's fun, and it keeps you coming back for more, simulator label or not.
Still there. Clear right.
F1 Manager 2023. With this game, you start off all hyped, thinking you'll be the next big shot in Formula 1 team management. But then reality smacks you like a soaked sponge to the face. Your drivers handle consistency like a squirrel on caffeine. Your pit crew moves slower than a tranquilized tortoise. And upgrading your car costs more than a divorce settlement. However, watching rival teams botch their pit stops is more entertaining than a stand-up comedy routine. Plus, there's a weird satisfaction in seeing your drivers zip past their competition like they're racing to a sale at the Ferrari store. Motorsport Manager. With this game, it's like running a team in a racing world where your skills behind the wheel don't matter a lick. Instead, you're the mastermind behind everything, from tuning up cars to schmoozing sponsors and guiding your drivers to glory. It's all on you. And forget about being the hotshot racer. Here, it's all about nurturing your drivers, whether it's cheering on a rookie's surprise win or trusting a seasoned pro to pull through in a clutch. The thrill isn't just in winning races, it's in crafting those epic underdog stories that keep you glued to the screen. F1 22. Overall, this game offers a decent modern F1 experience, but it's not groundbreaking. While games like Assetto Corsa might boast better physics and driving feel out of the box, they lack the comprehensive package of licenses, teams, drivers, and career modes found here. So, if you're a die-hard F1 fan itching to play one of the best modern F1 games, you should give this one a try. However, since the license for this game has expired, you can't buy it anymore. There is, however, another way to get it. But don't ask me how. New Star GP. This is one of the most fun casual F1 racing games out there. It breaks everything down to the basics, just race and win. Suffice to say, it's super easy to learn and incredibly enjoyable. The controls are great, reminding me of the good old days of PS2 racing games. Back then, racing games were straightforward and fun before things got too technical. However, I do miss a few things, like having a full 20-car grid or the option for longer races, but racing against characters like Nigel Mawson and Ayrton Serafino is fantastic. Project Cars 2. So, some of you may be asking, what's the difference between Project Cars 2 and Project Cars 3? Isn't Project Cars 3 the newer and better one? After all, Project Cars 2 isn't available to buy anymore, right? Well, here's the thing. Project Cars 3 was developed to be more accessible, as the devs said, but we know it means that it's less simulation-focused and more arcade-like, which is disappointing for fans of Project Cars 2. That's why this title is the better one for sim racers. Anyway, I don't have to tell you how to get this game, right? F1 23. The main selling point of this game is that it's better than F1 22, and it is in almost every way. If you're coming from F1 2021, the biggest differences you'll notice are the new tracks, the improved controller handling, and the F1 World mode. Is it worth getting? It's a yes and no, to be honest. It's a yes if you want to play every F1 game and can actually feel the subtle changes with each iteration, and obviously, no if you're a very casual player and already have other F1 games. Forza Motorsport. Grip in Forza Motorsport 8, now rebranded as just Forza Motorsport, is more pronounced and authentic, with cars feeling firmly planted on the road surface. Some people might feel this makes the game more arcade-like, but that's okay. And when pushing beyond the capacity of the tires, grip gradually tapers off instead of abruptly dropping, resulting in cars exhibiting a more natural squirming behavior rather than sliding uncontrollably. Moreover, there are some old F1 cars in this game, so if you're into that, maybe give this one a try. Assetto Corsa. Now this is the racing game that can be anything, as long as it involves driving a car on a surface. Heck, you can even control a raging T-Rex with your steering wheel. Don't believe me? Look it up on YouTube, you won't regret it. Anyway, if you had to pick only one game for sim racing, I would say this is the game. You can mod it with various maps and vehicles among other things. It's also so good that more people are playing it compared to its newer release. Forza Motorsport 7. Now, there are many older F1 cars in this game and one modern F1 car, which is the Renault RS17. However, there are also some Formula E cars featured in this amazing racing game, which is nice. And I get it. Some of you hardcore F1 fans aren't into electric vehicles because they don't produce the roaring engine sounds of those beastly machines. But for those of you who are into anything Formula, you might want to try this game because the latest Forza Motorsport title doesn't feature any Formula E cars. Gran Turismo 7. Before you get offended, let me explain something. Yes, I know there are no official modern Formula 1 cars in this beautiful game. However, there are Super Formula cars, which are basically Japanese F1 cars. But if you're really keen on driving an F1 car, whether it's not real or is old school, this game has one fictional car based on 80s F1 cars and one actual 80s F1 car made by McLaren. So, if you decided not to pick this one up just because it doesn't have officially licensed modern F1 cars, you're missing out a lot. F1 2021. Let's kick off with the good stuff. The classic driver career mode is what I live for. It's like the ultimate racing RPG. You pick who you are, where you start, and what your future looks like while the world around you keeps evolving. Then there's the My Team mode, where you get to create your own team, pick your second driver, and slap on some sponsors. Personally, I find it about as realistic as a unicorn, but hey, a lot of my friends are into it, so there's that. F1 2020. Now, the sim racing purists love to knock these games for not being hardcore enough, but hear me out. These cars handle just like they do in real life. High downforce, lightweight rockets that stick to the track like glue. They're not supposed to bounce around corners like a jittery GT3 car. I mean, F1 games are easier compared to Assetto Corsa Competizione, but that's because F1 games are meant to be more forgiving, especially for F1 fans in general. Crank up that AI difficulty, ditch the training wheels, and you'll be eating gravel faster than you can say Simcade. Grand Theft Auto 5 with mods. Now, before you get offended again, hear me out. This list is not in any particular order, so I'm not saying GTA 5 is the best F1 game of all time, obviously. I'm putting this game last because I think it's so versatile that it can almost be any kind of game with the right mods. Anyway, as you can see, with some graphics mods and vehicle mods, you can cruise around Los Santos in a Formula car. That way, you can pretend you're filming one of those Red Bull ads, all while sipping Red Bulls and getting diabetes. So do you agree with our picks? Check out these other videos from us and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.